Hey, good morning, Faith family. I am glad to be online with you this morning to be able to continue our 21 days of prayer. Today is day 9. It's getting tougher to make sure we're committed to this, but I really believe it has purpose. And I know today is not ideal to have to meet online instead of in person, but the reality is knowing that we're gathering at 6 a.m. It just is not possible if something happens to make a determination later. So we're always trying to think about your safety. So that's why we called it early last night, even before any weather was scheduled to come in. So we just wanted you to know that. But we do believe it's special to be on campus, corporately praying together. That's the whole purpose of it. But we want to be safe. And so tomorrow we're just going to pick right up, not lose any momentum, and continue. But in that vein, I want to tell you that as we continue, we're focusing on different names of the Lord. And so we're kind of looking at 21 days of prayer as being, hallowed be your name. You probably know that comes from the model prayer, and it says, pray then in this way, our Father who's in heaven, hallowed be your name. And so holy is his name. We're focusing on these names of God. And so today, as we approach the throne of grace, we're going to be using this name, Jehovah Sabaoth, which is the Lord of hosts. And Miss Heather Reed is going to be sharing with you today. She's going to share you a little more about the meaning of this name, some text to go with that, and also how we can use that in our prayer time today. Along with that, we have a focus each day that we're putting out, and today, day 9, is our Rooted Kinben, birth through 5th grade. If you're watching this, maybe you've not been on campus for 21 days of prayer, but you kind of jumped on to see what this is about. I want you to know that Miss Rachel does a great job in our kids ministry. And if you're looking for a church home, we invite you to come check it out. It is absolutely rocking and rolling in kids ministry at First Baptist. And kind of with that, I want you to know that we're going to connect the name and today with each other. And so Miss Heather is going to come on the screen, and she's going to continue with you for the rest of the time and kind of go over this name and the focus. So as she comes on, give me just a moment and we'll transfer that over, and you pray where you are, and we'll pray all over the county and all over the place so that we can reach the Lord in heaven. And let me also tell you, make sure you check the description. We got the link there for today's playlist. So if you want to listen to that playlist while you're praying, it'll be there for you, and you'll be able to grab that and listen and pray together. All right, let's pray together this morning, then we'll hopefully be back on campus tomorrow. God bless you.
Good morning, everyone. I am so glad that you are joining us for 21 Days of Prayer this morning. Wherever you're joining us from, I hope that you are warm. I hope that you are safe, maybe even cozy. I am on the little cozy corner of our couch in our home where I like to do my quiet time and my prayer time. So even though we can't be physically together this morning, I'm glad that we get to be together in this way. If you're cozy and you've got your coffee like me, take a sip of that and get ready to go, because we're about to dig into some really awesome stuff this morning. I'm going to set mine aside because I don't want to spill it and get a little bit excited when I talk. I like to talk with my hands. So I am going to introduce our name of God for today, and it is Jehovah Sabaoth. And when Travis kind of gave us our list of names, I didn't really know anything about this name. I had heard it before, maybe once or twice. But I really didn't know the details behind it. So I'm going to give you the basics. I'm going to talk about kind of how this gives us some information about the character of God, and then how we can use it to help us pray today. So here's the basics. Jehovah Sabaoth is a name of God that means Lord of hosts or God of armies. Okay, so it's God as a commander, God as almost like a war general. Okay, this very commanding authority. And we see this name of God used over 250 times in the Old Testament. We see this when people are referring to God being the ruler, the authority over multitudes of people, multitudes of beings, okay, because it talks about angels as well. So if you want to do a little bit deeper digging, if you want to dig into 1st and 2nd Kings, you can kind of see where God is referred to as the Lord of hosts over the angels. So he is the God of the angels. the ones that sit on the right and the left of him at his throne, and those who are sent down as out to minister to us as believers on earth. And we see that in 2 Kings, when the spiritual realm, the heavenly realm, is shown to Elisha, when the Lord opens his eyes and lets him see, I'm in charge of all of this as well. Lets him see that. We also can see that God is the authority, the ruler, the God of armies over nature. Isaiah 29:6 says that from the Lord of hosts you will be punished with thunder and earthquake and loud noise, with whirlwind and tempest and a flame of a consuming fire. So these natural things that happen here on earth, God is control. He is authority over those things as well. And then so many times in the Old Testament, we see reference to God as Lord of hosts when we're talking about earthly military campaigns, battles, a lot of the ones that we grew up learning about maybe in children's church or Sunday school or things like that, David and Goliath, the Battle of Jericho, things like that. All of those scriptures refer to God as Lord of hosts, Lord of armies. And David even says multiple times that he could not have defeated Goliath. He could not have had the military reign that he did when he was king had God not been on his side as the Lord of armies, both of earthly armies and of angel armies. And there's so many more places. So go do some investigating on your own, see what other references you can find to God being the Lord of hosts. But those are just a couple examples I found for you in the Old Testament. There's also a couple references in the New Testament, not as many, but there is one in the book of Revelation if you want to go read through there and kind of check that out. But something so cool about this name is it does reveal, I think, a part of God's character. So when I think of a war general, of a commander, I think of somebody that's like so important they shouldn't really want to deal with me, right? Or they have like so much on their to-do list, they're in charge of so much that their life has to be very organized, very disciplined. Okay, so it shows us that there's a part of God's character that is probably regimented, right? Because you have to have these different sections to really have control. So there has to be some regimenting happening and discipline. And we know that he has discipline. We see that in the life of Jesus when he's on earth. And then also there's just this vastness of things that he's in control of, because when Elisha's eyes are open, there's so many things happening around us that we can't see. And he is in control of all of that as well. So his expanse, his character is just so big. His character has a discipline. His character can be regimented. And then also there is purpose. So when you're in military battle, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, but my husband is kind of a World War II buff, so we watch a lot of those documentaries and shows at our house. But my dog is making noise. But when you're driving a military force, right, you have to have a plan, you have to have purpose, and God is very purposeful in how he moves to accomplish his will. So those are just some really cool things that are revealed about God's character through this name of God, Jehovah Shabbaoth. And then my favorite thing about this name, and kind of just stumbled upon it, but it's in the book of 1 Samuel. And so this is the very first time, the first chapter of 1 Samuel, it's the very first time that we see this name of God, Jehovah Shabbaoth, used in the Old Testament. And it's where Hannah is childless and her heart desires a son. So she cries out to God, and the name that she uses in her prayer is Jehovah Shabbaoth, God of hosts, God of armies. She does not call out with a gentle name of God, but she calls out with this name that has such a commanding presence, the God that is the commander of everything. And I love this so much because in praying this name, she recognizes his power. She recognizes that while he is the Lord of hosts, while he is the Lord of armies, of these vast multitudes of things that we can't even fully comprehend, she had faith that he was still listening to her as a commanding general, should not have the time for someone like me, for someone like you, for someone like Hannah. But God does. And while he is Jehovah Shabboth, the commander, the victor, he is also the God that comes to us intimately with that same power. As this commander, he still takes time to come to us and to be with us. And so as Hannah prays, she prays with this faith that she just says, God, I know that you are the commander of everything, that you are all powerful, and that you have a plan, and that you move with purpose. And so God, I just ask that if you would bless me with a son, that I will dedicate his life to you. And she just prays so fervently and so faithfully that if God would bless her with this son, that she would make sure that his life was for the Lord. And so God blessed her with Samuel. And we know that Samuel grows up to be a spiritual leader, and his life ended up the way that it did because it started out with a mom who prayed for him fervently and who prayed acknowledging that her God had commanding sovereignty over everything. And she trusted him with whatever his plan and his purpose might be. But she had faith that he would bless her with what her heart desired and what he had put on her heart. And so I think it is just so appropriate that that is our name for today, because we are going to be praying about children. So like Hannah, we are going to pray for our children's ministry today and for all of the kiddos that would be raised up in the Lord. We know that the enemy is after them. We know that the evil one will do whatever he can to get to them. And so we are just going to pray in the name of the Lord of hosts and the God of armies, that he would use his power to keep the enemy away, and that he would reveal his light and his love to the kids at our church, and that he would protect our leaders and our families. And I'm just a little bit overwhelmed, you all. But I'm just so excited that we get to pray together. And I'm going to shoot it back to Pastor Travis. But thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Let's pray for these kiddos and just start our day well.